This is Sig Taylor with Fish Out Loud. I just got back from the Classic here a few days ago. I'm still amazed. It was my very first time ever going to a Classic, and I got to tell you, if you haven't been, you got to do it at least once in your lifetime, all right? So congratulations to the Canadian Gussie for winning his second tournament, okay, on that body of water in Knoxville, Tennessee. Absolutely amazing. When he did it the first time a couple years ago, I was so happy for him because it's a technique that I've used. Now, I don't come from the upper states or Canada where they do it all the time, but I do come from the West Coast, and I've learned to do it on our spotted lakes, especially Lake Oroville, Northern California. And there's a lot of names, a lot of techniques they call this. I'm used to a float and fly and just a fly, but I wanted to, as you know, it's been about 4 days now, and I'm seeing all the information being put out there, and they're really forgetting one of the biggest secrets, okay, to making this technique work great. So I'm going to discuss that. I'm not going to get into anything else really because I think it's already been covered, but I just noticed this one little trick that I always do, and don't know if other people do it or not, okay, but I've won a lot of money on the float and fly technique, which is Northern Tennessee, Kentucky there, used on Dale Hollow. I took that and applied it on my lakes, especially also, you know, the desert lake, Lake Havasu, I've used it on with great success, catching some nice smallmouth. And of course, Lake Oroville, my favorite. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about here, and that is, you can tie whatever knot you want, but I'm gonna hold this up right here. But if that knot, if that bait is not sitting horizontal, okay, in front of those fish's face, about, you know, we use 2 foot as an example. Gussie was talking about, you know, about 2 foot above it. That bait is sitting like this or like this, those fish won't even come up to it. It's got to be horizontal. So whether you're using the moping technique or the float and fly, it's got to be horizontal. So what is my solution to this? And I brought this up in other videos where I'm not talking about this technique, but a lot of my hooks that I use for worms or creature baits, I will actually, and I bought this at the local Lowe's, it's a heat shrink, electrical heat shrink. I'll put it over the eye, I will cut it, and then I'll take this, light it, and now you're looking at a hook that's completely covered. I go down to the local Hobby Lobby and I get sewing needles, and I'll literally put my line through this sewing needle and run it through. And what that does is now you're able to, and I did it on this one, that line will not move, okay? And now I've got a straight line and it's sitting there. Again, when that thing's straight up and you test it out in your local swimming pool or in your neighbor's swimming pool, it will not do this. It'll sit straight up. Now, when I use it for when I'm flipping or pitching a worm or a creature bait, my reason is sometimes that line, you know, it's going through the branches and stuff. You're in some thick stuff. That knot may get knocked over a little bit, and when you're setting the hook, it's not a clean hook set. But if that line is straight, that knot connected to the hook is straight, you're going to get a much better hookup. Now, I've had people say, well, that just takes too much time. That's fine. I'm just telling you, when the money's on the line, and we had a World Championship Classic where Gussie capitalized on it. So when the money's on the line, try this technique out. Take some time out to try it. The other thing, too, is he mentioned, and those fish get educated very quickly, okay? He was using a 4-inch bait, and he said those fish would come up and bump it, which is okay. They do bump. But immediately, this is just a suggestion, you see that happening, that means it's maybe give a different type of presentation when it comes to bait size. Maybe go down to a smaller one. Here's actually a Dale Hollow special, which I use very successfully on the West Coast, is maybe a little hair jig. Here's a small gets it right there. Okay, maybe downsize a little bit. There's something that it's just not, it's like, hey, I've seen this before. I know what happened to my friend Billy Bob. He's gone now, okay? I don't know. I want to eat it, but I'm unsure. A lot of times downsizing will help, and going as small as maybe an inch and a quarter might be the trick that does it. Now, I remember Gussie reading where Gussie was saying that he would kind of let it go up and then let it flutter down. Awesome. Try that. But if that doesn't work, try definitely downsizing a little bit. Also, check the regulations. For example, in MLF, I checked with the tournament director, this works. Bassmaster, you can't do it. But try tying on 2 baits, all right? Now, these baits are Jinko baits, and what they do is they have it's a little underspin for crappie. I took the underspin off, tied it up. It has a swivel, so there's not a lot of line. And that's another thing I want to talk to is Big Bite Baits just came out with a jig head that actually has a swivel in it. So your line's not twisting as it's down there. Sometimes that current gets going, starts twisting. So we've got a swivel here, and you've got a double bait. Now, this is deadly. This is really deadly, okay? Why is it deadly? Now, just imagine you got 2 baits right there. That fish comes up, he's butting this other one. All of a sudden, you got 2 of them that are bouncing. That's just the predator instinct kicks in and goes, oh my gosh, these are real. I'm going to smoke them both, okay? I've actually done this where I've caught the same fish, okay? He's already got 2 of them in his mouth, both of them. I do this about 12 inches. Again, swivel. This is from Jinko, okay? These small little baits. By the way, great company, Jinko. If you don't know them, take a look and find them. Go to their website. That's Jenko. Again, Big Bite baits here. The jig head's with the swivel on it, and they come in various sizes. All right, so you just kind of have to kind of play around with this. I like using a company called Beast Coast. They got some great products. Also, the heat shrink, I have this in black, and then I actually had to go on eBay and get a clear heat shrink because I do believe color is important, and I'd rather use clear when I'm fishing in these clear water conditions. And so remember that. I don't care what you do. I'm just using this as an example for you, okay? But make sure that knot doesn't go down. If you're casting out there, that knot could slip. You could be wasting your time because if it's not sitting in an exact horizontal position, all right, you're wasting your time, okay? You just are. So I hope that helps. Something that was not discussed in everything I've read. Yeah, it was discussed, it's got to be horizontal. But the importance of it was not discussed, did not go into detail, all right, that I've seen. So I wanted to put this video out real quick. I had a great time at the Classic. Saw so many of my friends that I haven't seen in literally years, okay, because again, I hear in Florida, and a lot of these folks are from the West Coast, okay, and I recommend that you go. Congratulations to Gussie. It doesn't matter. He won. It was a nail biter to the end. I was talking on Friday morning as I'm driving up. He already had that 17, 18 pounds. I was talking to a couple great kids out of South Africa who I'm going to be bringing over. They qualified for the Bassmaster Team Championship, and I'm going to help them out, make sure I give them all the tools they need to be successful in that championship coming up this December. But I was telling them, this tournament is over. This tournament is done. He's going to win this again because nobody took the time out to do something. And I'll leave you with this. If you want to win a big tournament, you've got to be willing to do what other people aren't willing to, okay? Keith Pochet is another good example. Just won that major MLF. I congratulated him at the Classic. So start thinking outside the box. If you find a better way to do what I've just shared with you, share it with us. All right, guys, remember, you're just one cast away.